I did a stage dive type of thing.
Welcome into the 2017 American Athletic Conference Football Postgame Show, presented by Central Florida Expressway. What a game we just witnessed here in Orlando at Spectrum Stadium. We knew this one was going to be a showcase of two of the top offenses in the country. We knew it was going to be a high-scoring game. We even got some extra football. It took 2 overtimes to decide it. UCF victorious in the end, 62-55. I'm Haley Outen alongside college football analyst Corey Chavis. Corey, oh my gosh, what a game that was. I mean, how are you feeling after taking that one in down here?
Woo! I mean, it's one of those games that you'll remember for the energy of the crowd. Just every single momentum change, whether good or bad, you could feel the crowd rise, and you could even feel them when they sank. And I feel like for us, the emotions were kind of the same, but it was just a really fun game to be a part of.
Two great teams. I mean, I think the two best teams to represent this conference on this national stage today, and we couldn't have asked for a better game. Let's take a look at the highlights, you guys. You're going to want to sit back, get some popcorn, maybe get a couple of drinks, because we have a whole lot of highlights to get to today. There was no shortage of it. There you see him, Scott Frost, the head coach of UCF, his quarterback, Mackenzie Milton, 12-0 this season. Just 0-12 2 years ago, and boy, have they flipped the script. The Memphis quarterback right there, Riley Ferguson, he played a heck of a game today for the Tigers as well. But here we are in the first quarter. Riley Ferguson, the pitch to Darrell Henderson. We talked about turnovers a lot, Corey. We knew it was going to be important today. Fumbled and recovered by Shaquem Griffin.
Well, Shaquem Griffin, look at the pursuit angle that he takes. His energy as a football player, second to none. You see him right there he really just pulls this ball away from Henderson late, and that's a lot about just grit as a player.
Yeah, and then you see it, Milton to Dredrick Snelson, a 24-yard touchdown pass. The Knights are going to get started early in this game. A fast start for UCF, up 7-0 here in the first quarter.
And what a performance by Snelson. I think late in the season, he's even taking his game to another level. And you see him beat Jonathan Cook in the slot. Cook had a problem today in coverage.
And here you see Anderson, the 62-yard rushing touchdown. Starting on the Memphis 20, this would lead to a 31-yard field goal. UCF up 10-0, 6 plays, 80 yards that drive. It was looking like UCF might run away with this one at this point in the first quarter.
Yeah, it was. It was going to be important for Memphis to get its running game going, and you can see they get it going right here. That was something they didn't get going the first time these two teams played.
UCF up 10-0 in the first quarter. This play, 2nd and 8 on the Memphis 37. Taylor, the rushing touchdown.
It was funny on that play, you almost had the quarterback, Wiley Ferguson, fall down. He barely got the handoff to Taylor. Excellent red zone runner. You're going to see them go off tackle. And one of the things that they do quite a bit is run to that left side. Pretty good block by Kaiser up front.
Well, here you see it. UCF up 10-7. Milton to Akins, 48-yard touchdown. He's been a big wide receiver for this group all season long, Corey.
Yeah, he has. I mean, former baseball player, professional baseball player. He's played wide receiver for this team. Back in the day at UCF, he used to return kicks. And this, once again, Mackenzie Milton finding a matchup. This against their freshman safety, Josh Perry. Perry falls down in coverage. Touchdown, Knights.
Well, here's an interesting play, Corey. First quarter, the clock is winding down. Memphis is going to run this play. The UCF defense, they look like they're set, but they're not really set. They get some big yardage on this play. Ferguson to Dykes, 64 yards. The quarter's going to end here. It's going to be followed by a Memphis score.
Now, Sean Dykes had a big game. I think that's probably was the one player that you wouldn't have expected to come in and have a big game. I was wondering where Phil Mayhew was.
Well, here we are, second quarter. Ferguson to Tony Pollard. We call his name a lot on special teams, but here he is playing his role at receiver. A 13-yard touchdown pass. UCF's lead cut 17-14.
Interesting strategy that time because they moved him again into the backfield. You see him offset and one-on-one. He ends up with Titus Davis. Their outside linebacker beats him on the H angle. Perfect throw by Ferguson.
3rd and 3 on the 50. Milton, Traquan Smith, 50-yard touchdown run. Corey, I know you like this wide receiver. He's talented, he's skilled, and we felt his impact today.
I really like the fact that he's a long strider who builds speed, and I like the way Scott Frost and also Troy Walters move him around. They put him in the slot, one-on-one. Jonathan Cook, it's a mismatch. Cook has struggled against receivers in the slot. UCF took advantage.
Well, here we are, UCF up 24-14, 1st and 10 on the UCF 20. Milton again to Snelson. Snelson fumbles the ball, a turnover for UCF, recovered by Jannard Avery for Memphis. Big turnover right there for the Tigers.
Yeah, 6'1", 265 pounds. Avery is a man amongst boys oftentimes. Watch Avery come in here along with Cook, and you see him punch and rip. He's a grown man. You'll see him on Sunday afternoons.
Yes, we will. One of several Memphis players that we might be seeing on Sundays. Corey, 2nd and 9 on the UCF 30. Daryl Henderson, 30-yard touchdown rush, showing some fight, breaking through those UCF defenders.
Yeah, one thing about Henderson, he has big league speed. He's a guy that once he gets to the second level of your defense, he's a challenge. He's a little bit smaller, but he's strong in the lower body. You can see Trey Neal try to come up and tackle, and he works through that tackle. One thing about Henderson, all year long, he's gotten stronger as the season is going on.
Well, he got the job done today, but here we are, 2nd and 10 on the Memphis 11. Milton picked off by Tito Wyndham. 2nd consecutive UCF turnover. Turnovers were something that UCF struggled with in the first half.
Yeah, and I think this was a good play design. They actually was kind of a follow type concept, and it just went off the hands of the receiver, and Wyndham was in the right place at the right time.
Here we are. Here's another look at it. Big time turnover. All right, here we are, 2nd and 8 on the Memphis 32. We've called this duo quite a bit this season as well. Riley Ferguson to Anthony Miller, 68-yard touchdown run. Memphis takes the lead 28-24, 5 plays, 97 yards.
Well, I think one thing that Ferguson does, similar to Paxton Lynch when he was in school, this is a double move concept, a little bit of a slant and go, and you get in one-on-one with the corner outside. Clark, who's a good cornerback for UCF, but Miller, savvy route runner.
We're still only in the second quarter here. These highlights are going on forever. Second and goal on the Memphis 6. Milton pass picked off by T.J. Carter, the Rookie of the Year. He returned that 25 yards, the third straight UCF turnover.
Yeah, Carter does a pretty good job outside playing man-to-man. He comes off of his man I think that might have even been going to the slot receiver. You can see him down at the bottom. He comes off his man and actually does a pretty good job of just reacting to tips and overthrows. That's how you get interceptions.
Well, here we are nearing the end of the first half. 2nd and 4 on the Memphis 31. Riley Ferguson to Dykes, 46 yards to the UCF 23. You see him fighting there, Corey.
Yeah, well, he's got a matchup this time against Shaquan Burkett, and he gets up the seam and makes a pretty good move on Neal.
All right, last highlight of the first half, 3rd and 10 on the UCF 13. Time running out in the second quarter. Big stop by UCF with Memphis in the red zone. The Tigers would go into the locker room leading 31-24 at the half. Coach, thanks for sitting through some of those first half highlights with us.
It's the first time I got to see it.
You sat through
guys do a good job describing it, by the way. I'm impressed.
Well, Coach, congratulations on this win. I mean, I know it was an emotional post-game celebration for you out there. Saw you tearing up, saw you celebrating with your guys. How have you kind of digested it? We've got some papers flying around. How have you kind of digested it now that you've been the American Conference champion for about 20 minutes?
Yeah, so proud of these guys, so happy for them. Can't tell you how emotional I've been, what these guys have done going from 0-12 to 12-0 in 2 years. I don't know if it'll ever be done again. It might be like DiMaggio's record. You know, UCF is an unbelievable place. I think you're just starting to see the early parts of what this university and this community can become, and I'm glad I was along for the ride for these 2 years.
Coach, the one thing I wanted to ask about a little bit was, I think the first time that I had a chance to meet up with you when you arrived here was against Maryland last year, and in that game you decided to go with Mackenzie Milton, and at the time there's a little bit of you were kind of wondering because you had a senior quarterback in Justin Holman, and you went with Milton, and he struggled a little bit in that game. But you said the next time that we saw you, like, hey, listen, he's going to be all right. He's a guy that can handle it. Fumbled 6 times in that game, and from that point moving forward, he just got better and better, and then he just transformed himself into the player he was this year.
Yeah, I think sometimes you need those things to become the player that you can become. I remember getting booed as a quarterback in my home stadium, and it was hard. But when you overcome those things, it's even sweeter. I was at the bowl game last year when a lot of UCF fans were chanting for somebody else at the position. He's done an unbelievable job working. Mario Verduzco's done an unbelievable job with him. He should be a Heisman candidate and contender. That's how well he's played this year.
Coach, have you had a chance to talk to your team yet following the win?
You know, there wasn't much talking in the locker room. It was just dancing and celebrating. So I'll get a chance to talk to him, and I'm going to be around a lot more this winter to talk to him and have a chance to see each guy individually.
How would you describe what that celebration in the locker room was like? I know it was wild out here, the confetti flying everywhere, just a lot of hugging, a lot of smiles, a lot of happy tears. But what was it like in the locker room once you guys got in there and were just kind of with yourselves?
I think it's just rewarding to put in the work they've put in and have it pay back like this. Undefeated season and 12-0 and conference champions. You couldn't have sold me that was going to happen this year, and I think the players believed it. But if you got the truth out of them, I'm not sure they thought this was going to happen. And everything's come together for us. We have a lot of guys playing great football, and it was a special day. This team's been through a lot. Now this is our 12th straight football game without a break, and I think there was a lot of celebrating and also a lot of celebrating because they're going to get a little time off.
My favorite part about talking to both you and Shaquem on Thursday leading up to this game was, I asked him, I said, what's this one going to mean to you if you guys win this conference championship and are 12-0 here heading into this New Year's Day game? And he says, you know what? I get to call Shaquille, and I get to tell him that I had a better senior season than they had. Does that pretty much just sum up? I mean, this Shaquem is just a fun guy, great guy to be around, but does that kind of make you laugh to hear that?
Everything Shaquem says makes me laugh. But this group can call and rub it into about 99% of college football players because going undefeated doesn't happen, and this group did it.
Coach, I know there's been just so many emotions swirling around here the past couple of weeks. You had to focus on a really good USF team to even land in this game. But I guess how would you sum up what this week has been like getting your team ready for this championship game with all the rumors, all the questions you've been getting? How have you kind of channeled that? How did you help your guys stay focused? What has that been like? It has to have been a pretty tough week for you.
Well, these decisions and these carousels start, and the timing's awful. It's right during the middle of a season, and the one thing I was not going to do is sacrifice what I was supposed to do for my team. So I literally put it out of my mind for a long time. And focused on making sure these guys are ready to play, and then you wake up one day and it lands on you, and they're tough decisions. You develop relationships with people. You want to keep advancing in your career and advancing with challenges, but in a place like this, UCF and Orlando, I'm going to retire here someday, and I wish I had more time maybe to make decisions and was in a little better place to make decisions. But the one thing we were going to do is be loyal to our team and make sure that we got them ready. And I think that showed tonight.
Well, I think that you did just that, sitting here at 12-0 with a great group of guys. Coach, it's been so much fun watching you coach this group and the improvement you all have made the past 2 years. I hope you guys enjoy this one, and good things to come for this UCF program.
I can't wait to see who we get to play in a bowl game. It's going to be exciting.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach. Well, stay with us here on our post-game show. We're going to get to those second half highlights and the overtime highlights after this break. Stay with us.
In a city known for doing things our way, there's a university that's driven to do the same. To blur the outdated line between academic pursuits and active ones. Not just to learn, but to experience. To create, solve, build. To explore and express. To lead. Because an education isn't something you get. It's something you do.
Power starts here, and it's taken here. It makes history. It rewrites history, and then rewrites it again. Power is excellence. Champions. Teams of destiny. Power is every season, every week, every day. It's the relentless pursuit of excellence in what comes next. The American Power for Life.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle.
A big save.
A clutch hit.
And a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials, student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions
while at the game.
The American.
Power.
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 Power for life.
Hey, super fans, drive with pride with a Knight-branded ePass toll sticker. Knight Pass is accepted on all toll roads in Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. Even use it to pay for parking at Orlando International Airport. Go to getKnightPass.com to score yours today. There you see it, the final score of this one, 62-55. What a game we witnessed here on Championship Saturday in Orlando here at Spectrum Stadium. Welcome in, everybody, to our post-game show presented by Central Florida Expressway. I'm Haley Outen alongside Corey Chavis. We've brought you the first half highlights. There was a whole bunch of them, but more importantly, we were joined here on the set by UCF head coach Scott Frost. Corey, I don't think I have met, at least in recent times, a prouder man. He was so proud of his team.
He was, and I think his team was, you could see how close they were right before you actually did the post-game interview, Haley. You could tell that all of the team's, heartbeat, some of the top players, whether that be Shaquem Griffin, Tony Garrard, all of those players seem to have special relationships with Coach Frost.
Well, as we mentioned, the final was 62-55, and where we left you off in the highlights after that first half, it was only 31-24. So we have just a few more highlights to get you to. Let's roll them here. In the third quarter, Memphis onside kick, kind of an unusual play to start the half, but I guess they were feeling it on special teams, trying to catch UCF by surprise, but UCF recovered the ball.
Well, I mean, they did actually convert an onside kick the first time these two teams played. I thought that was a reason they went back to it.
All right, well, here's Mackenzie Milton, a 6-yard touchdown run to tie the game at 31 here in the third quarter. Knights fans, they were really loud today, but this got UCF on the right foot here in the second half.
And I think he got Milton going again. Now, he hadn't had a lot of yards rushing up to that point. He had 88 yards the first time these two teams met. And you can see it's just a quarterback draw. And what he does is a great job of really reading off the block of Brown, making a quick move, and being heady with his decision-making.
Well, tied at 31, here's Riley Ferguson to Dykes. Again, 52 yards to the UCF 23. Big gain there by the Tigers. This is going to lead to a 22-yard field goal. Memphis is going to take the lead back 34-31. UCF with the ball now. Mackenzie Milton. Who does he find? Traquan Smith. 34-yard touchdown. UCF takes the lead back 38-34. This is just like, going points for points, back and forth, man.
Again, you get a linebacker matched up, Darian Porter, with Smith down the field. And they lost that safety that I talked about in the first half, Josh Perry. And now you got Porter one-on-one with Smith. You'll take that matchup every time, and he dunks on it.
Well, I think this was kind of a turning point, if you would agree, Corey, in the third quarter, because here he is, Mackenzie Milton. He's going to find Frederick Snelson, a 28-yard touchdown, and now UCF has taken the largest lead of the game, 45-34. Milton's fifth touchdown pass today, 4 plays, 85 yards.
Yeah, and that was a pretty good defense that time by Wyndham, who had a pretty good game. And just a minute ago, I said that it was Porter that got beat. Actually, it was Gonzalez for Memphis. But again, another Memphis defensive back getting matched up down the field. Wyndham, who actually had his best, probably maybe his best game of the season, gives up the score.
Well, here we are in the fourth quarter, 45-34. Ferguson sacked by Shaquem Griffin, an 8-yard loss. The senior getting this crowd going at that point. And right now, it seems like UCF had all the momentum. 46-yard field goal for the Tigers to chip away at the deficit, but they missed it.
Yeah, and that was something to keep an eye on, because coming into the game, Patterson's long on the year was 42 yards. So you just wondered whether or not he would be able to be a factor in this game if it came down to a field goal.
Well, at this point, you're kind of wondering, is UCF, the nightmare, there you see it, going to run away with this one? But he's been a difference maker all year long. Tony Pollard, 66-yard rushing touchdown to get Memphis back within 7 points. And you're like, okay, Tigers are getting back in this one. UCF only leads 48-41 at this point.
And if he gets on the edge, he turns back into that kick returner, averaging 44 yards per kick return. Outruns the angle of Trey Neal and is able to beat him. And once you get past that safety's angle, you'll see it right here. It's a good block by Taylor on Shaquem Griffin, and then he beats the angle of Neal, and there's that speed that we've been talking about all afternoon.
Yeah, Tony Pollard, we talk about him a lot on special teams, but big game today, rather, at the receiver position. But here we are, score remains UCF 48, Tigers 41. UCF goes for it on fourth down from their own 35-yard line and converts, but that drive did eventually end with their first punt of the day. Here's Ferguson to Pollard, 29 yards to the UCF 39. Here you see it again. I mean, he really found Pollard quite a few times today.
He did. He found a lot of the matchups again against Davis, Titus Davis, an outside linebacker. You don't want him matched up with Pollard, and now in the end zone, you're going after their best corner, Mike Hughes, and Miller says it's Miller time.
Well, there you see him, Anthony Miller. That was a 10-yard touchdown pass. This is going to tie the game at 48, and we're in the fourth quarter. Man, What a great catch by Anthony Miller.
It was, and it was excellent coverage by Hughes, but sometimes you've got to give your best player a chance on a 50-50 ball, and that was 100% touchdown Tigers.
Well, 3rd and 1 on the UCF 42. Anderson stopped behind the line of scrimmage. UCF forced to punt. This is a big turning point in the game. This is going to put the ball in Memphis' hands, and I mean, at this point, it was kind of the Tigers' game to lose.
It was a big stop by Pat Jazinski, who actually had 13 tackles on the game. And then there's Henderson again, busting loose. Another 100-yard game for Henderson.
Well, Henderson with a 36-yard rush to the UCF 25. It's going to set up the field goal. 46-yard field goal, but another delay of game, so he gets another chance.
And now you're tinkering with outside of his range. You got to take this back to a 51-yard field goal, and then you get him pushing it wide left.
Well, Patterson, you mentioned it, missed the 51-yard field goal. Game stays tied at 48. We're going to overtime. Here it is. Ferguson to Miller for the 15-yard touchdown. Memphis leads 55-48 in the first overtime. You know, at this point, I was wondering how many overtimes we were maybe going to be here for this afternoon. But UCF, you know they're going to respond. They've been bringing it all year on offense. Killins Jr., the 2-yard touchdown run. We're tied at 55, going into double overtime.
Well, he makes Hall make a decision, one-on-one, and then he pitches it at the last minute. Killins delivers, and they're celebrating like it's hammer time.
Well, here we are in double overtime. UCF has the ball, 2nd and goal on the Memphis 1. Anderson with the 1-yard touchdown run. We kind of had a pause. UCF fans were waiting for confirmation on the touchdown, but sure enough, there it is. UCF leads 62-55.
And the last time I heard of Otis Anderson in a championship game, it was way back in Super Bowl 25 with the New York Giants. O.J. Anderson, well, Otis Anderson for the Knights getting it done today. What an afternoon for the young man.
Well, here we are, 4th and 7 on the UCF 22. They need 7 yards to keep them championship hopes alive for the Memphis Tigers. They get it. Ferguson to Miller for 17 yards to the UCF 5. But here it is. This ended the game right here. Ferguson picked off by Trey Neal. And UCF is your 2017 American champions, remaining unbeaten on the season at 12-0. Look at those fans celebrating. You know what? They really brought it today. This is a packed house again. I mean, I couldn't believe this place, Corey. It was loud. The stands were shaking. They don't call it the bounce house for no reason. But there you see him, Scott Frost. A really emotional afternoon here as he hugs all of his players. I mean, he just said it on our set. Like, if you would have asked him this question back in September, if this team would be 12-0, he would have said, you know, no way. Couldn't have imagined this happening to this team.
Well, I think one thing that we talked about during the pregame show was the fact that all you heard about in the preseason was USF and how they were going to have a perfect season. And if you think about the last game of the 2016 season, nobody competed with USF any better than UCF. So they had to be thinking like, wait a minute, you're in our division, you got to get through us first. And not only did it come down to a last-second kick return by Mike Hughes in that game, it kind of like set up what this championship game really would come down to, really the two best teams in the conference.
Well, I don't think we could have asked for a better display of football. Representatives from both the west side and the east side. Here you see it, the final stats from today's game. I mean, two great teams battling it out. Memphis should be very proud of their season up to this point, finishing the year at 10-2. But hard to believe, I mean, this UCF program has won 11 straight against the Tigers dating back to 1990. But this one really could have gone either way today. Two great displays of football here in the championship.
Special teams. We thought that special teams, it would come down to it. One of the keys we felt like for Memphis was to win the special teams battle. They lost it in the first game, and sure enough, today, when it really comes down to it, if they could kick a field goal, the game's over. We're having a different discussion now. We're talking about Mike Norvell. But instead, a blocked field goal, a delay of game, then another missed field goal equals missed opportunities. And when you have those in a championship game, you just can't get them back, even when the opposing quarterback throws 3 interceptions, 2 in the red zone.
Well, you mentioned him, Mackenzie Milton. You know, maybe not his cleanest game there in the first half, but regardless, he got his team back into it in the second half. And then, of course, in both overtimes, he was named the most outstanding player of this year's championship game. He set an American championship game record with 5 touchdown passes, 494 yards for this sophomore quarterback today. I'm pretty sure this program is happy that he'll be sticking around a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I think Dredrick Snelson had an outstanding game. You knew about Traquan Smith, but who would be the number 2 receiver? And Snelson made an impact. You see him working across the face of Cook again on this play. We saw that earlier. I thought he played physical at the catch points. And then I felt like at the end of the day, when it comes down to Milton finding the right matchups, I think he did that for most of the game.
Well, there you see him, Mackenzie Milton. A great day for the quarterback, and we talked about this a lot in the pregame show, but the top 2 scoring offenses in the country went at it today. Before this game, UCF averaging 48.3 points per game, Memphis 47, and I think we knew this was going to be a high-scoring game, but 62 to 55, probably a little bit more than I think most would have projected, but this game also setting an FBS record for most points scored in a championship game.
Yeah, most points scored, and for every touchdown that you had from Milton, you had a response from Ferguson. I just think at the end of the day, Milton made more plays than Ferguson, and that was the difference. And I think even with the 3 interceptions, to throw for nearly 500 yards in a championship game after the performance he put on a week ago, pretty remarkable. And again, I think it comes back to him finding the matchups. They moved those guys around, and he found the weaknesses in Memphis' secondary.
Corey, with the performance that UCF put on today, you know, it seems pretty obvious that they're headed to that New Year's Day bowl game at this point here at the end of the month. But what do you think this win, you know, what kind of statement, I guess, do you think it made? I mean, they had a big win last week against USF, which has been, you know, a top 25 team for most of the season. And then today against a top 25 team in Memphis, you know, 2 teams with so much respect. But what do you think this win said today to just college football fans across the country?
Well, I mean, it says they have a lot of team speed, and they also have perseverance. They have a lot of grit. They've got a lot of different ways and angles that they can attack you on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they're an aggressive defense led by Griffin. They've got some pretty good players inside, in my opinion, in Garrod and also Jemias Pittman. I think their linebackers are active. You saw Pat Jasinski have maybe his best game of the year. And they've got players in the secondary. Trey Neal, he closes this game out with the late interception of Riley Ferguson. So they've got a complete football team, a good field goal kicker in Matthew Wright. It'll be in the trenches where they'll have to prove themselves against a group of 5 or, you know, a big 5 opponent, group of 5 versus a big 5 opponent whenever they're going to see in that bowl game. I think that's going to be the key. Who wins at the line of scrimmage?
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. A whole bunch of highlights, but, I mean, such a great game here inside the stadium. Unbelievable atmosphere today again. But this show is not over yet. Coming up next, a team that has had a great year as well, the Memphis Tigers, finishing the year at 10-2. We're going to hear from head coach Mike Norvell and quarterback Riley Ferguson.
When I came into this classroom, we had 30 desks, 30 chairs, a teacher's desk. That was
Donors Choose is the greatest, simplest idea. Teachers put up materials they need. You, as a donor, choose a school.
And you can fund part of a project or the entire project. It is magic.
With Donors Choose, you know exactly where it goes, every dime.
They feel like somebody in this country cares about me and my potential, and that's a powerful thing.
7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 21 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American.
Thank you, teachers.
Thank you, teachers.
Thank you, teachers.
Thank you, teachers, for going the extra yard.
He taught me things that I'm still doing to this day.
Every time I see her, she's always
has a smile on her face.
She helped me grow from day to day.
I'm ready to go the extra yard for teachers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Bonner, for pushing me to be better.
Will you go the extra yard for teachers?
Oh, that ball is hit deep. Left field. Way back. That ball is gone.
Double play ball potentially. Schreitenthal's over to first. In time, double play, and that ends the game.
How to get $100 in tolls this holiday? Get an e-pass. Backed by popular demand, 5 lucky people will win $100 in tolls this holiday season. Yep, just by getting a free e-pass. Visit getepass.com today for full details. Welcome back to the American Football Championship postgame show presented by Central Florida Expressway. The sun is setting here in Orlando after a fabulous game that we witnessed here right behind us just a little while ago. For the Memphis Tigers, it was a tough end to this portion of their season, but they still, of course, have their bowl game to look forward to coming up this year. But they were led today and all season long by quarterback Riley Ferguson. He finished the game with 471 yards and 4 touchdowns. Great year for Riley. Great game today for him as well. And we had a chance to hear from them in the press conference following today's game just a little bit earlier. Here's head coach Mike Norvell and Riley Ferguson.
Phenomenal football game. Congratulations to UCF. Just an incredible group of young men that they have. It was a wonderful battle, back and forth. 2 great football teams, and we expected that it would be a 60-minute battle, and it went just a little bit longer than that. So proud of our team. They showed the heart that they've had and displayed all year long. And we were down early, came back. Had so many emotional swings throughout that game. To come back at the end, we're down 14 points there in the fourth quarter, to be able to tie it up, to go into overtime. We had a couple missed opportunities, things that you can't have when you're playing a great team. And we turned the ball over a few times. We didn't score in the red zone. We had a couple missed kicks, different things that show up that when you come down to a 1-score game, it's tough. But I love our football team. I love the young men that are sitting in that room. They're hurting. It's a hard time whenever you put so much into a game and into a season, and to have it come up just a little short. But we've had a great season. We've had a great run to represent the West Division, to play a team that's to the quality and caliber of Central Florida. We're honored to be able to play in this game. I wish we'd have been able to make a couple more plays to end up on the right side of it. But it was a wonderful game to be a part of.
Take questions for Coach. Raise your hand, please. We'll get a microphone to you. Over here in front.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned the end of the game with all the turnaround there. The defense actually came up big towards the end of the first half there, and as much as both these teams are known more for offense, kind of speak to your success that the defense was having earlier in the game.
Yeah, the situations there towards the end of each half, really. We had some critical stops. We were able to get a couple takeaways. Those were big plays to allow us to put ourselves in good position. When you're down 14 in the fourth quarter, you've got to make sure that you get some stops. And our defense came up big. We had a chance to move the ball there late. We got down in field goal range, and we had a critical penalty. Penalties hurt us today. That was something that I think we had 14 penalties, which we can't have, and it really showed up big in some critical times. And so But your defense, we knew it. I mean, you got the two top offenses in the country. I mean, that's what you saw today. And, both, did not disappoint in how they played, but both defenses, came up with critical stops at critical moments. And, it was an impressive battle. I'm proud of our guys. Defensively, we lost a couple safeties there at the end of the first half when John Cook and Josh Perry both went out. So we had to try to adapt and adjust a little bit there. But our guys, they played their hearts out, and I'm very proud of them.
Other questions? Raise your hand over here in front.
Coach, just talk about how the team was able to hold UCF to just 3 points in the fourth quarter. They didn't score their touchdown. They scored their last touchdown at the end of the third quarter, but then you guys held them and then came back from that touchdown deficit.
It's what this football team's done all year. I mean, they've responded when it was necessary. We went down. We had we missed an opportunity. We were in the red zone. Had a negative play that kind of put us in a long field goal range. We missed the field goal. They were able to go down and get points, and we knew we needed to stop. And our guys, they rose to the challenge. We were able to go down. We had the big touchdown run by Tony Pollard, and we got us to a one-score game. And those guys just keep playing, and I mean, it shows the heart, the character that they have. We push all year long for this opportunity, and man, we got a phenomenal group of young men, and that heart is what showed up. They're a resilient group, and they made a lot of good plays out there.
Mike, your safeties early, it seemed like, had some trouble with their receivers, but late it seemed like there were a couple guys missing. Was it injury related? Was it performance related?
We had a couple injuries. Josh and John Cook both went down, so we had to we took another corner and put them in at safety. And there's some adjustment things that you have to do. That's a position that we are thin at. We have a bunch of freshmen that are playing there. But at the end of the day, our guys, they went out there and they continued to compete. We have two true freshman corners. One of them that got thrown in at safety. You got Tito, who was a newcomer for us, and just to see all those guys out there, playing and giving everything they have for this football team was special for me to see. But it's like I said, that's a talented group we just played against.
You started the game really pounding the ball, running it. How did the offensive game plan change from the first game to this one, and how were you guys able to execute it so well?
Well, we knew we had to have some balance, and looking at stat sheet, I think we had the ball for 48 minutes or whatever. I don't know if that's right, but we had the time of possession. The play count we were able to keep limited for most of the game. Obviously, going to overtime, and they got a couple more snaps. But our guys, we knew we had to have balance. We couldn't get into a drop back game, because they have some talented pass rushers, and that showed up there late. But our guys, I was really proud of the O-line. That's a defense that's played extremely well all year long, and the only two real offenses that have been able to have success on them was South Florida with their great quarterback there last week, and what our guys did today, and it was great to see, but wish we had a couple more.
Other questions for Coach? We're also joined by quarterback Riley Ferguson.
Thoughts on the guy sitting next to you and the performance he had, and also on Anthony Miller, that last fourth and whatever conversion.
Incredible, two warriors. I mean, they are two of the best young men I've ever been around. The way they prepare during the week, you see a lot of great plays that are made on the field, but what they do, Sunday to Friday to prepare themselves to play at a high level, it's two fine young men, and as good of players as they are, the performances that they had, they're better people, and they're going to have extremely bright careers here when they're done being finished with this season, but they are going to be wonderful representatives of our program and what we stand for.
Mike, when you walked in getting ready for this to start, you were looking at that stat sheet and you were shaking your head. Can you just even put into words the emotional roller coaster of this game, and so close to winning and then not, and just coming at the end of the season? You can see the emotion on Riley's face as well. Can you just talk about your emotions?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not emotional about that one, then you gotta check the pulse, because I mean, this football team is incredible, man. They put so much into it, and we knew. I mean, there was no secret. It was going to be a one possession game. This is going to be something we had to play really well for it to to actually be that. And our guys they battled, and you see the swings. I mean, I think back, we didn't get off to the start that we wanted. We tried to be very aggressive today, and we were down 10, and then our guys responded. We ended up taking the lead into halftime, and then they had a great third quarter, and our guys responded once again. We got it into overtime, and at the end of the day, they were able to make one more play than we were, and wow, what a great game.
Other questions? Over here.
Yes.
Yep, go with Jeff.
Mike, what is this? Obviously, it's a display for Memphis football. The whole country's watching y'all. What does this mean for Memphis football?
I think it's shown the progression. When I took the job a couple years ago, the culture had changed, but we had to show that we could maintain and continue to build off of it. And I think about this football team and the young men that have come in. We got a great group of seniors that have been through. That's going to be it's the winningest group of seniors to ever come through our program. They played at an exceptionally high level, but we've had 13 guys that have come in that 2-year period of time that have have become starters for us, and that whole group has kind of cohesively come together and played at such a high level. Whenever you have change, there's a lot of uncertainty, and the young man sitting to my left, he replaced a first-round draft pick quarterback and has just come in and continued to a great tradition for what Memphis football is all about, and that's what makes me so proud. You see the passion, the energy, the resiliency that our football team shows. We take pride in that. We take pride in who we represent and the great community that we have there in Memphis, the support. But our program is going to continue to rise, and I think today, even though we didn't end up on the winning side of it, you saw the progression of where we're going.
Any questions for Riley?
Riley, talk about the confidence you have throwing the ball to Anthony on a regular basis, because it just seemed like it was like simple backyard football between you guys.
Yeah, that just comes from practice and repetition. Every day at practice we go out and we compete with everybody, who we're going against, and if that means us staying after practice and getting a couple more throws in, that's what it's going to take. That's what we've done, since I've been here, and we've just gotten better and better every single day.
Over here, Mark.
Riley, what were those final couple plays like? You get the big completion to Anthony on 4th down, and then a couple plays later you throw the pick. I guess first, what happened on each play, and what was that like in the moment, going the swings of emotion?
Well, the 4th down, the out route, that was just a man throw. We knew we had Ant one-on-one, so we let him run it out. Got the good completion. It was a great catch by him. The last play, I had my read. The safety came down, and in the back, I haven't even seen the play. I haven't watched it, but I guess he dropped out and picked it off, but it was a great play by him.
Over here in front, please. Where'd you go?
Hey, Riley.
Okay.
Does this game hurt even more, man, because you all was so close, this close to winning the ball game and to lose, the way after us having an incredible season and an incredible game today?
Of course this hurts. We went out there and gave it our all. We left it all on the field, so it's going to hurt. If it doesn't hurt, like Coach was saying, then you need to check yourself. You shouldn't be playing football.
Okay. Up to the right over here.
Riley, just what you can say about Anthony Miller, just what he's meant to this team. Obviously, this was a loss for you, but just what he's meant overall and what he meant in this game to keep you in it.
Man, he's everything. He gets us going. He's one of the best players on our team, but at the same time, he's one of the hardest workers on our team, so everybody respects him. So I think that's the main thing. People can look up to him, and he carves a way for everybody, and we just follow him, and all the other seniors are trying to do the same thing as well.
Okay. We have time for 2 more. Go back to more, please.
Hey, Coach, Dykes had a breakout game. What did you see that Dykes do today, or describe his game today?
Yeah, no, I thought Sean did a nice job. We were able to get some play action, shots to him, and he made the most of his opportunity. I think he had 100-something yards receiving, which was big for us because you look at that team. They're dynamic at corner. There was a great challenge to be able to not only run it but throw it, and we were able to get some good matchups. And I thought Sean showed up really well. He's had a good season, and it's good to see that continued. Like we talk about that progression as the season goes, and that confidence that he was displaying.
Okay, the final question will be over here, please.
Riley, you guys are down 48-34 with less than 10 minutes to go. What was it like on the sideline? Was there anything said, or was it just confidence from going in prior in the game?
You know, we had no panic. Nobody on the sideline was panicking at all. You know, we've been in this situation. Coach tells us all the time we've literally seen every situation possible that you could possibly be in. So, you know, we were down 14. We weren't really worried about it. We knew we had to go score quick, and that's what we did. And then our defense came out, got a stop for us, and we went and scored again.
Memphis, thank you. Congratulations on a great season.
Well, there you see him, an emotional Riley Ferguson following today's championship game. A tough way to end the year. They still have a bowl game left to go, but for a moment there, you thought that the outcome might be a little bit different today for this Memphis team in their second trip to Orlando this year. Now for Memphis, this program has had a great couple of seasons, especially for these seniors. The four-year seniors are the winningest program in the school's history. How would you kind of sum up this season for the Memphis Tigers?
Well, I think it's a season that'll be wrapped around UCF season, right? I mean, if you take away the UCF game today and they win this game, they're the conference champions. But they lost the first time in a rather convincing fashion to this same Knights team. I think for them, they understand that really beyond just this game, they've also had other games that they've proven that they could come back in. And I think that mettle that they developed throughout the year showed up today when they were down by 14 in the fourth quarter, and they were able to forge back and actually tie the game to send it into overtime. So it's a program that's trending upward, and it's somebody that you have to be ready to contend with if you're in the American Conference.
Yeah, tough pill to swallow today for this Memphis team, but they still have one more game left on this schedule for some very special seniors that have certainly changed and impacted this program. Dealing with the emotions of a difficult loss today, I mean, as a player, you know, like this is something you want. You want that conference championship. You want that feeling here at the end of the season. How do they kind of try to recover from this so that they can make the best of their last game in that Memphis uniform?
Well, I think that you bring up a good point, because this will take a little bit of time to get over. This disappointment doesn't just vanish in a couple of hours. But this is a team that has won 10 games more than once. They've won 10 games under Justin Fuente. Now they've done it under Mike Norvell. That gives them confidence. They have a number of youthful players on the team that are really rising upward. And I think that the seniors have to be proud of the legacy they've left behind, at least for these younger players to follow.
A lot of promise for both of these programs. Again, tough way for the Memphis Tigers to end this game today here in Orlando, but the UCF Knights are this year's 2017 American champions. Coming up next, we're going to close out the post-game show here in Orlando. Stay with us.
In a city known for doing things our way, there's a university that's driven to do the same, to blur the outdated line between academic pursuits and active ones, not just to learn, but to experience, to create, solve, build, to explore and express, to lead. Because an education isn't something you get, it's something you do.
Power starts here, and it's taken here. It makes history. It rewrites history, and then rewrites it again. Power is excellence. Champions. Teams of destiny. Power is every season, every week, every day. It's the relentless pursuit of excellence in what comes next. The American Power for Life.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it.
Power comes in all forms. Power is a big tackle,
A big save.
a clutch hit.
And a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right. Power is respecting an opponent, officials, student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments.
Profanities or other improper actions.
While at the game.
The American.
Power.
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 powerful life.
Hey superfans, drive with pride with a Knight-branded ePass toll sticker. Knight Pass is accepted on all toll roads in Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. Even use it to pay for parking at Orlando International Airport. Go to getknightpass.com to score yours today.
Okay.
There it is, a full moon here in Orlando. This day started pretty early. We endured some serious heat, and now the sun has set. It is nighttime. UCF is the champion, and it is cooling down here in Florida in December. Believe it or not, I'm Haley Outen alongside Corey Chavis. What a day it's been. It's been so much fun recapping both of these teams' season, and we couldn't have asked for a better way to go out here in conference play today. We got, I think, the game of a lifetime here inside Spectrum Stadium. Now, 7 teams from the American. Their season doesn't stop last weekend or this weekend. They're going to keep it on going here in the bowl season. Here's a look at the Americans' bowl partners, some possibilities of where these 7 bowl-eligible teams could end up here in December and January. For UCF, they are a sure lock into that New Year's Day bowl game, and it looks like they are headed either to the Fiesta Bowl or the Peach Bowl in Atlanta.
Well, that Fiesta Bowl, we've already seen what UCF has done in that bowl game before, right, against Baylor. So I'm sure that these players, maybe even a couple, would like to go back to Arizona.
Well, 7 teams headed to a bowl game this year, a very good season for this conference as a whole. Just so many teams making those statement wins this season. You have Houston out at Arizona, USF having a great year, UCF obviously, as well as Memphis with that win over UCLA earlier in the year. So just another chance to really maybe make a statement here before the year comes to a close.
Certainly, and I think when you go back to a year ago, when you look at them in the bowl games, and I'm talking about the American Conference, probably would have liked to have done a little bit better. And that's something that I'm sure that kind of reverberates from team to team. Hey, we need to really try to have a little bit better performance to solidify what we are often hearing now as the Power 6.
All right, Corey. Well, unfortunately, our championship coverage is coming to an end here. It's time to go home. Really soak this one in. It's been a great day. The fan base here was awesome on both sides. You know, we had a chance to talk with some UCF fans. The Memphis fans really brought it as well. But a great game on both sides, and congratulations to both teams on 2 heck of a seasons. It's been an honor bringing you this show today. Thanks to Corey for your great insight and analysis. You do a great job covering this conference all year round, so it's been great having you.
Yeah, it's been great. And I really enjoyed watching you, Haley, on the rise. She's on the rise, too. You better believe it.
All right, well, that's all we have here from Orlando. The UCF Knights are your 2017 American Athletic Conference champions. They are undefeated at 12-0, heading to a New Year's Bowl game. Good night from Spectrum Stadium.